I'm Emma. I'm 28 years old. I work in the administrative department of a fairly large trading company. My boyfriend is John. We met in a college club, and he's 2 years older than me. We've been dating for 8 years now. About 4 to 5 years ago, we started thinking about marriage and began saving up for it. Then, on my birthday this year, he finally proposed to me. At a fancy restaurant, we enjoyed delicious food and wine. When John snapped his fingers, the waiter nodded and dimmed the lights. Then, a spotlight shone on our table, and he pulled out a small box from his inner pocket and gently opened it. That's what I had dreamt of, but in reality, it happened during one of our camping trips. There was a campfire in front of us. Cooking his favorite chicken soup, and I was drinking my favorite canned beer. As the firewood crackled, he fumbled around and pulled out a small box from a bag. Here. What's this? A ring. A ring? Yeah, let's get married. It's about time we did things properly, right? Well, I've been thinking the same, so sure. Great, it's settled then. Yes, let's toast to that. I was pretty drunk at the time. Looking back, I wondered if we could have done it a bit differently, but a fancy proposal wouldn't have suited us anyway. This kind of proposal was just right for us. While after the proposal, John came to greet my parents. I'm so nervous. Well, think of it as the first trial and do your best for us. Sure, today is my trial, but next time it's your turn. Yes, I'm fully prepared. I'll take today's John as my example. Geez, you're still as cheeky as ever. Blame yourself for falling in love with a girl like that. Look, there's the house. Alright, I'm going to do my best. Sure, but make sure you look good too. Here, your tie. Saying this, I straightened his tie and tightened it. Did I already seem like his wife? Feeling a bit happy about that was my little secret. My parents live in a house in the suburbs. The house itself is a 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom place, but the yard is quite spacious. My father has always loved the outdoors and met my mother through his hobby of mountain climbing. Because of that, I also love the outdoors and enjoy camping. I think we're just a normal family. My father is now retired but works at a relative's company. I joined the company with high hopes, but I hardly get any work. Still, I get paid, so life is easy for me. That's what he says. Well, I tell myself it's good that my parents are cheerful and healthy. When we arrived, my parents greeted us at the door. John was really nervous. Nice to meet you. I'm John. He stammered over his own name, which he must have said hundreds of times in his life. Even so, the way he confidently spoke to my parents made me fall for him all over again. Please let me marry Emma. My father smiled and said, John, are you sure you're okay with someone like her? If so, then by all means, go ahead. What do you mean by someone like her? My father has always been like this. Then my mother added, Emma getting married? Once she gets married, Emma will go far away, get it? Emma far away? I buried my head in my hands. What are they talking about, my parents? With this, John's nerves quickly dissipated. What was supposed to be a brief greeting turned into dinner together, then into a party, and finally, they suggested he stay overnight. However, when my mother called John's house to inform them, John's father answered, We appreciate the offer, but we'll have to decline. Staying at a stranger's house out of the blue could lead to unexpected charges. And we can't handle that. He was quite rude. I had heard that John's father was the president of a rather large company. Unexpected charges? My mother responded. Yes, I'm the president and John is the president's son. We've had many people try to exploit us for money. We don't want to associate with such poor, money-grubbing individuals. Are you saying we are poor people looking for money? My mother's voice was tinged with anger. I'm saying it's a possibility. Understood. I'll tell John to return home. Yes, please do. With that, the call ended. What a nerve. How rude. My mother was furious. What happened? Nothing much. I kindly suggested John stay the night, and his father accused us of trying to extort money from him. Just then, John walked in. I'm sorry. My parents were once scammed, so they often doubt people's kindness. It's not your fault, John. Let's just build a good relationship over time. We had a good time today. Take care of Emma for us. My father was patting John's shoulder heartily. In the end, John didn't stay the night and went back home. At that moment, I didn't know yet the true nature of John's father. Next, it was my turn. John's father was a self-made entrepreneur. He had transformed a small steel workshop inherited from his parents into a large machinery manufacturer with his excellent business acumen. Naturally, their home was quite luxurious. Surrounded by high walls, it was a 3-story reinforced concrete building. Seeing such an impressive house made me feel quite intimidated. Now it's your turn to be nervous, Emma. John teased. Of course, I'm nervous. Anyone would be. Look, there it is. Make sure you look presentable. Yes, thank you. Still nervous, I entered the house, greeted John's mother who welcomed us, and was shown to the guest room. John's father was sitting there. John's mother urged me to sit down in front of him. Hello, nice to meet you. My name is Emma. I'm going to marry John. Thank you for having me. I'm George, John's father. Thanks for coming today. Well, I know it's hard not to be nervous, but try to relax. Yes, thank you. It was my first time meeting John's father. He looked quite stern and seemed to be in a bad mood. Let's get straight to the point. What are your intentions? What do you mean by intentions? To put it simply, I'm the president of a major corporation. As you can see, I have a substantial amount of wealth. I'm asking if that's what you're after. I was taken aback. Intentions. All I want from this marriage is to be happy with John because I love him. It never crossed my mind to imagine such ulterior motives. No, that's not my intention at all. Forgive me for asking, but what do your parents do? My father is retired and has been working at my cousin's company. I'm not sure what he does, but he's healthy and working. My mother is a homemaker and lives happily at home. Upon hearing this, George leaned back arrogantly. His demeanor was so disrespectful that I frowned. I see, but from what you say, it doesn't sound like they live a particularly affluent life. And what about your job? Yes, I work in the administrative department of a major trading company in the city. Administrative work doesn't promise much career advancement. Well, that's true. So, after marriage, you'll be relying on John and me? What? I couldn't help but let out a strange sound at his insinuation. What is this man talking about? At that moment, my mindset shifted. I no longer had any intention of being polite or formal. What do you mean by that? George spoke to me condescendingly. I mean exactly what I said. Your family is poor, so you're trying to marry into a wealthy family by deceiving my son. Your parents are counting on him to fund their retirement. Not only did he insult me, but also my parents. I couldn't let that slide. What did you say? I couldn't help but raise my voice. There's a limit to how much one can insult others. I could feel my face turning red with anger. Dad, that's too much. Her parents are good people. They welcomed me kindly when I visited. They're not thinking about money or anything like that. John tried to mediate. But George dismissed him easily. Stay out of this. You're naive and don't understand the world yet. Leave this to me. Then let me say something too. I intervened in their argument. You called my family poor? We may not be wealthy compared to you, but we live a decent life. And don't insult my parents. I respect them and they're wonderful people. Emma, calm down. John, flustered by my anger, tried to step in. But I, like George, silenced him. You stay quiet. George glared at me after my outburst. By poor, I mean any family with less money than ours. Marriage only works between equals. Those without money will always expect charity from the wealthy. And you'll be no different. Even if you deny it now, it will happen eventually. This man was presuming too much. Something inside me snapped. Fine. I understand perfectly. Go find someone wealthy for John. Goodbye. I stood up. Yes, please do. Mother, see her out. And sprinkle some salt afterward. John and his mother were bewildered, but I walked out without looking back. Wait. John hurriedly chased after me. I shout back in anger. No. I've had enough. That father of yours is the worst, looking down on people like they're beggars. John was truly panicking at my outburst. Let's try again. My dad was in a bad mood today. I've had enough. Why should I put up with such insults? I'm sick of being looked down on. Calm down, please. Let's just have a cup of tea, Anne. I had no intention of cooling down right away. Sorry, but I can't do that. I'm going home. Don't contact me for a while. Emma, wait. I brushed off John's desperate attempt to hold me back and went home alone. After that, John kept calling and messaging me, but I ignored him. That day, I angrily told my parents everything that had happened as soon as I walked into the living room. That's really harsh. Do we look that poor? My dad said with a grimace. Unbelievable. John seemed like a good guy, but his father's behavior was worse than the phone call, my mom said, exasperated. So, what do you want to do? Are you thinking of breaking up with John? Asked my dad. No. I still love John and want to marry him. In that case, why don't you take a break and then try again? If things get worse, I'll step in. Really? Of course. Anything for my dear daughter. My father's words were kind and reassuring. After hearing my father, my mother gave me some advice. It seems like they don't really know us. You should explain everything clearly to them. Convinced by my parents, I decided to meet John's parents again. I reached out to John and asked him to arrange another meeting with his parents. John was delighted and quickly set it up. The bell for the second round had rung. My opponent was formidable. Was I like Don Quixote charging at a windmill, or a hero battling an evil villain? The visit to John's house was scheduled for the weekend, on Saturday. If it were a showdown, Friday would have been ideal, but for me, it was set for Saturday. Finally, Saturday arrived. I was restless all morning, constantly checking the clock, waiting for the appointed time. When the time came, I met up with John, and we headed to his house. As we entered, George was sitting in the guest room, just like last time. Hello, it's been a while. I greet them. George looked at me as if I were a nuisance. So, you're back again? Yes, persistence is my motto. I replied cheerfully. Naturally, George's attitude didn't change. No matter how many times you come, my feelings won't change. Give it up. Well, I can't just back down. I have my pride and dignity too. Hearing this, George's expression shifted from annoyance to a more resigned attitude. Do as you like. So, what do you have to say? I once again asked for his blessing for our marriage. Please let me marry John. No way. I won't let John marry a poor girl. This was the response I had anticipated. Once again, we're not poor. Besides, do you really have the right to call others poor? Are you that wealthy? Time to fight back. I threw a question at George. What? I took over my father's company and grew it from 20 employees to 2,000, including subsidiaries. That's a 100-fold increase. How could I not be wealthy, being the president of such a successful company? Oh, really? And? Are you mocking me? Our annual sales have grown from $1 million to over $100 million. That's about the company, isn't it? It's not your personal money, right? Yes, the company might be big, but you are not. I directed this thought, which I had been stewing over since storming out, at George. George, having been hit where it hurt, started shouting loudly. What are you trying to say? Stop belittling me. If you want to convince me, prove that you are wealthier than I am. Is money the only measure of a person? That's not right. A person's value isn't determined by money. When I fought back, George's voice grew even louder. That's something a poor person would say. If you want money so badly, just say it. I'll give you some, but never come back here again. That's exactly the kind of thing a nouveau riche would say. It suits you perfectly. Hey, Emma, stop it. Dad, you're being embarrassing, stop it. Seeing the heated argument between George and me, John stepped in to try to stop us. You stay out of this. No, this is about me and Emma in the first place. Shut up. I need to show this poor girl my greatness. As George's nostrils flared, I showed no sign of backing down. Yes, I need to set this stubborn man straight. I won't marry you until we settle this. Why did this turn into such a mess? We only came to announce our marriage. John held his head in his hands. What a rude girl. I'd like to see what her parents look like. Oh. Is that so? Then I'll bring them next time. You'll get to meet them. Yes, bring them. I'd love to see what kind of parents raised such a rude girl. They must be just as disrespectful. George sneered as he said this. How did a man like you father someone like John? It must be thanks to his mother's good genes. Oh my, thank you, Emma. John's mother said, delighted. Hey. Why are you happy about that? George snapped at her, then turned to me. Enough, talking to you is pointless. I'll deal with your parents when they come. I'll show them that a girl like you doesn't belong in this house. What an outrageous statement. But before I could respond, John spoke up in anger. How could you say such awful things? I don't consider you my father anymore. I'm cutting ties with you. Should I get a divorce too? I'm tired of hearing such terrible things, and I don't want to stay with someone like that. John's mother said bluntly. Back at home, I recounted the events of the day to my parents. After hearing everything, my father sighed and said, so that's how it is. If he insists, I'll meet him as he wishes. Yes, give him a good talking to, dear. But I'd love to meet John's mother. She seems like someone I could be friends with. You'd only complicate things, so you better stay out of it. Oh, come on, I want to go. My mother started looking forward to meeting John's mother, thinking they could become friends. No way. If you go, my anger will fizzle out. I put my foot down. But I'm only thinking of you, Emma. My mother pretended to cry, feeling frustrated. So, what's the name of John's father again? His name is George. 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 Hearing the name, my father started to tilt his head, deep in thought. His puzzled look intrigued me, and I asked him. Yes, that's right. Do you know him? Well, something's nagging at me. It's right on the tip of my tongue. He continued to tilt his head, trying to recall. Oh dear, are you getting senile, dear? My mother joked. That's it, it's him. That guy. He finally remembered. Wait, they're acquaintances? The world seemed both vast and small at that moment. Really? You know him? Yeah, something like that. Well then, Emma, call John's father and let him know. Okay, how about next Saturday? That works. Also, I'll be a bit late, so you go ahead without me. Really? You're not coming with me? I was surprised, as I assumed he would come with me. The main character always arrives last. All right, I understand. I didn't know what my father was planning, but I decided to trust him. And so, the day of the showdown arrived. I'll follow the plan and arrive a bit late. I'll call you when I get there, so hang in there until then. My father said. As autumn deepened, it was time for the third visit. I arrived at John's house, greeted everyone briefly, and was shown to the guest room. As usual, George was sitting there with his bitter expression. Hello, Mrs. Davis. Thank you for having me again today. Welcome, Emma. Your father is coming today, right? What kind of drink does he like? John's mother seemed excited. Seeing her made me feel a bit more at ease. You don't need to prepare any drinks. And here you are again, for the third time. Our expensive drinks are wasted on poor people. Thank you, Mrs. Davis, but there's no need for now. So, where's your father? Did he get cold feet? George continued his condescending remarks. No, he's just running a bit late. I apologize. Well, it doesn't matter. Nothing will change anyway. John, clearly irritated, tried to calm his father down. I couldn't help but feel a bit sorry for John. Enough already. I'm the one getting married. You have no right to keep complaining. But his words fell on deaf ears with George. He responded dismissively. Nonsense. I'm doing this for your sake. You're meddling. John responded with frustration. As we continued this fruitless discussion, I received a message from my father. I just got a message from my father. He's arrived. Then the doorbell rang. Excuse me. My father's voice called. Oh, welcome. It's been a while, said John's mother with a rather odd greeting. Been a while? I was sure this was their first meeting. I felt puzzled. I'm glad you remember me. Excuse me for intruding. But today, I'm here as Charles, Emma's father. Thank you for looking after my daughter. Oh no. The pleasure is ours. Everyone is waiting. Please, come in. Thank you. I heard this exchange as my father was shown into the guest room. Hey, George, long time no see. As soon as my father entered, George abruptly stood up, standing at attention. This is Colonel Charles. No, you were a brigadier before you retired. My apologies, sir. It's been a long time. He said this while saluting. Since he was indoors and hatless, it was a simplified salute with his hands at his sides and a slight 10-degree bow. The sudden turn of events left both John and me bewildered. Relax. Those days when I was a brigadier and you were a sergeant major are long gone. This is your home, isn't it? You've come a long way. I must have trained you well. Yes, sir. Please, have a seat. I apologize for the mess. Thank you. You sit down too. Everyone will be more comfortable if you're seated. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. George sat down, but instead of sitting cross-legged as before, he sat up straight. Dad, you know George? I had to confirm this unexpected situation. Yes, back when I was in US military, George was one of the new recruits. While my father spoke casually, George, who had been boasting and lounging, was now completely humble. Yes, sir. Thank you for your guidance back then. It's quite a coincidence to meet again like this. So, you're a president now? That dropout really made a name for himself. Yes, sir. I apologize for any trouble I caused during my time in the military. After I left, I took over my father's company. And with everyone's help, I've brought it this far. George was bowing repeatedly throughout the conversation. He looked like a bobblehead. Unbothered, my father reminisced about the past. That rookie, now a president. Good for you. Well, I'd rather not talk about the past. But I wanted to hear more about those old stories. I asked my father. Hey, is Sergeant Major an important rank? George was a brigadier, right? Yes, a sergeant major is like a section chief in a company. I see. And I was a bit higher than that. George nodded vigorously. Yes, sir. I had no idea that John's partner was the daughter of Brigadier Charles. My father laughed warmly. Forget the ranks. I'm retired and just a regular person now. George replied humbly. Yes, sir. I'll keep that in mind. By the way, my father said, straightening his back slightly. He looked down at the now shrunken George. I've heard a lot from my daughter. You've always been fixated on ranking people, haven't you? I told you many times to stop that. But it seems you're still at it. I hear you've been looking down on my daughter, calling her poor? That's right. George shrunk even more. Yes. I deeply apologize. No need for that. After I retired, I was fortunate to join a company you might have heard of, Brown Heavy Industries. It's the company that makes the tanks you use to drive. The president is my cousin, and due to my ties with the US military, I'm now the head of the technology development department and a board member. Once again, my father mentioned a familiar connection. George's eyes widened in shock. What? Brown Heavy Industries? Yes, that's right. As I recall, our company has a business relationship with yours. Yes. Brown Heavy Industries is one of our most important clients. We're very grateful for the business. I didn't come here to talk business, but given the current situation, I might need to reconsider a few things. My father exerted his pressure as he looked down at George. George bowed even lower. To me, who had been looked down upon as poor and even asked, "What kind of folk were you raised by?" this scene was truly exhilarating. No. That would be a big problem. My father's tone grew sterner. Then, as a parent, shouldn't you be blessing John and Emma's marriage? Our family isn't as poor as you claim. Yes. You are absolutely right. I deeply apologize for my rude behavior. With that, George bowed his head while still sitting up straight. Well, there you have it. John, Emma, there are no more obstacles to your marriage. My father said, looking at us with a triumphant expression. Yes. Thank you so much. John said, genuinely happy. Thank you, Dad. I also expressed my gratitude. Without my father, this outcome might not have been possible. I was truly grateful to have him. George remained bowed. Sergeant Major George. You will now approve of their marriage. John's mother seemed to enjoy the term Sergeant Major as she put her hands on her hips and commanded George. Even you. What are you saying? George was completely subdued. My father gave me a thumbs up and a wink. And so, John and I had our wedding. At the reception, many of my father's university classmates attended. My father graduated from the National Defense Academy. Everyone, who had high ranks in the military, teased George, who stood at attention. As entertainment, my father's classmates performed the US military exercise. Of course, Sergeant Major George was in charge of giving commands and had to lead the exercises. Seeing middle-aged men sweating and exercising made John and I laugh heartily. Since that incident, whenever John's mother had a request for George, she would call him Sergeant Major George and speak to him in a commanding tone. Apparently, George now couldn't say no to her. John and I are living happily together. We are blessed with 2 sons. My father adores his grandsons and can't help but spoil them. One day, my father's old friends visited, and they couldn't help but laugh at how doting my father was with his grandchildren. The man who was once called Charles the Demon. Today, my father and the kids are playing superhero games in the yard. Ultimate Miracle Beam. I've been hit. Both my father and the kids are covered in mud. Boys will be boys. I said, laughing with my mother. Kids, you might become real heroes in the future. Keep it up. Future heroes.